He's the Obama administration's point man on Iraq. Political crisis over the Iraqi election. It was Vice President Joe Biden who flew to Baghdad to try to defuse the crisis. When Iraqi leaders deadlocked on creating a new government, Vice President Joe Biden flew to Baghdad to talk to them. When U.S. combat operations officially ended last month, Vice President Joe Biden flew to Baghdad for the official ceremony. He has been there 6 times since taking office. While back in D.C., he runs the administration's monthly meetings on Iraq. And when I spoke with Vice President Biden yesterday, he had just met with the president and with the former commander of the U.S. forces in Iraq, General Ray Odierno. I know you're just out of a meeting with General Odierno,
yep,
the departing commander of the U.S., and you've been in Iraq a number of times, including quite recently. You told the New York Times last week, they published the transcript of you speaking with them about Iraq, and you said the bottom line is there are a lot of badass 50,000 troops that are left. These guys can shoot straight. 50,000 troops in country is still a big, big contingent. With 50,000, as you put it, badass
guys
troops still
shoot.
there. Guys who can definitely shoot. I was just there. I know they're.
And the women can shoot too.
Oh yeah. and they are in peril. Since the handover, we have had U.S. killed in action. We have had U.S. wounded in action. Does it undercut their service and their sacrifice to say this is no longer a combat mission? Why do we need to use that phraseology when it seems like they're in combat?
No, I tell you why we have to use the phraseology. Because the Iraqis, we've trained up 650,000 Iraqi forces. They actually, and here's the point, and I know you know this, they have been taking over since January of last year. We have made a commitment. We made a firm commitment to the Iraqi people and the American people. One, we'd get all combat troops out of the city last year. We would bring down from 150,000 to 50,000, which we've done, troops in the country by this end of this August. And all 50,000 remaining will be out by the end of next year. We have fundamentally shifted our positions where we are located. So we're in a very different role. It's a support role. But we are there in the case the Iraqis need additional help to use our combat. And by the way, it was used recently, so it really isn't. The technical definition of the combat lead means that you're the commander out there leading the troops, the Iraqis are behind you, and you're saying up over the hill and you're leading the way. We're not doing that anymore. But it was very important for the sovereignty of the Iraqis to let them know we recognize the fact they are now capable. They are capable. We'll continue to train them. We'll continue to help them. But by the end of next year, we're out. We're gone. And so it may be, a bit of a misnomer, but in literal military terms, we are no longer in a combat lead position. We are doing support. We are protecting American facilities, the embassies. We are protecting American personnel, American citizens, and we're training Iraqis.
One last question. I know your time is short, but on the issue of Iraq, having come back from there, I felt like if I forget all the history and I just think in very, very broad strokes about the fact that we have had 7.5 years of American presence in Iraq, $1 trillion, all of those lives lost, everything that was spent there in every sense. To be leaving there with there being no electricity in Baghdad and the suffering that causes the Iraqi people, the effect that has on the prospects of stability and peace and civil society taking hold in Iraq after all these years. Electricity seems to me not just one of a list of things. It seems like the thing that we could most do for the Iraqi people if we could do anything. Why hasn't that been the U.S. priority, to leave them with at least that to remember us by?
By the way, we will. By the time we leave, we will, number one. Two, I've been in there 14, 15 times. There is a great deal more electricity than there was when the war first started and when there was before.
Baghdad, Saddam gave Baghdad a lot of power. The rest of the country.
But nationwide. Yeah. Thirdly, what's happened is as we and now the Iraqis have been able to eliminate the Al Qaeda that's left in Iraq, as well as the there's a difference between terrorism and insurgency. The insurgency was out there trying to foment a new civil war. It hadn't worked. It hadn't taken root. But they were also doing a great deal of damage to the electrical infrastructure, the electrical grid, the delivery of services. This is going to just get better and better and better, but it's a long process. And we're going to look, when we leave Iraq next year, we are leaving militarily, but we are significantly ramping up our civilian presence. I mean, significantly. And we are working. I conduct a meeting once a month with our folks in Iraq, as well as with every cabinet member. I have the Secretary of Commerce, the Secretary of Education, the Secretary of Treasury, the Secretary of Agriculture. We're all there working now with the Iraqis, providing for the ability to help them build their institutions so they can function, including how to make the electric grid function. So that is a process. We're not walking away from that. We are increasing our civilian commitment, and we're trying to work out what they call a strategic arrangement long term with them that is not military, but it is on the civilian side. And look, the Iraqis are not in a position now, but by the year 2013, they're going to be in surplus. By the year 2015, 16, 17, and 18, they have enough natural resources to be pumping as much oil as Saudi Arabia. So this is about stabilizing them, getting a functioning government in place, having eliminated the insurgency, putting the Iraqis in a position they can take care of their own physical security, and now helping them build their institutions. This is going to work.
It's going to take a long time.
It is absolutely. Nothing easy about it. But we're bringing those kids home, including my son.
Mr. Vice President, thank you so much for your time. It's a real honor to have this much time with you.
Well, thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
The Vice President telling me that what we're doing right now in Iraq is gonna work. The idea of getting electricity to Baghdad, going to take a long time. Paul Rykoff of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America joins us next, and we are still due this hour to learn yet more about New York Republican candidate Carl Palladino. After that, brain bleach will be offered by your ushers as you leave the studio. We'll be right back.